And welcome to the Garage Gym Specialist. It's our first episode of the new year, 2020, and we have a very special episode starring me. Also, a very special episode with a new angle for you guys, Jiu Jitsu. Stay tuned. Welcome. And we're back for 2020. It's going to be a very special year. We're very excited about it, and we're going to start it off with a very, very special episode with a very special guest. Actually, personally, I'm the guest. Thank you for having me over to your house. We have Professor Jose. Professor Jose is a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. We wanted to showcase him for a couple reasons. He's a really, really cool guy. Plus, this is not your ordinary garage gym. It is a full-blown garage gym, but it looks very different than what our garage gym looks like, and I want to show you guys how and why. So we're going to go into some really cool details about that. But first, let's kick this off with Professor Jose. Tell us a little bit about you and your journey to come up and evolve with something like this. This didn't happen overnight. So give us kind of an idea where you started and how and where you were going and how you got there.
Yeah, well, I originally started Jiu-Jitsu about 14, 15 years ago. I was 21 years old, and I looked at it more as an outlet of exercise, and I was interested on actually doing MMA. I was a fan of MMA. Had originally seen Jiu-Jitsu in the first episodes of UFCs, right? The first ones. So I always thought that I needed to learn that because I didn't want to get taken down and submitted. That was the first impression, like I have to learn that, right? I've always liked boxing more than ground game until I started doing jiu-jitsu. And I became as a hobbyist, right?
Sure.
I had goals of competing. I'm a competitor by nature. And eventually I found a route where I had a little bit of success, and I found the passion of teaching. And I was lucky enough to find good people, yet still work hard, and they gave me opportunities, and it all came together. Like I came to the right people, and I showed the right effort, and they gave me opportunities to start teaching. And fast forward to now, I'm here with my best friend who I actually met in jiu-jitsu. One of the first classes I had became my best friend, and we have something going here where we can get to train jiu-jitsu and still create a good lifestyle.
So you kind of started with all of us, like watching UFC 1, 2, 3, and just seeing this martial art that nobody, we knew about boxing, we knew about wrestling, but then this art that came out of nowhere was just wrecking people, and not just people, like these monsters, and it didn't make sense. So all of a sudden, we all want to learn. What is that? We want to learn that, which I think a lot of us on this side kind of felt the same way, and I guess the fear of not knowing that was the whole drive to want to know, how and why.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was proven, right? It was effective. When you see it in the octagon with no rules, and you see it being applied to, like you said, much larger, and not only larger opponents, but guys that are like skilled at their craft, karate guys, boxers, or or whatever other art were into the combat. So yeah, just seeing it being applied, I think is a mistake about it, right? It's like, man, I want to learn that. But yeah, you start. The thing is, you start training jiu-jitsu, and then you get fascinated by how much there is to learn.
Well, and we call that the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
And I think if you're sitting there watching this and you're like, well, I have no desire to go into an octagon or a cage and fight some savage guy across from me. And hear me out. Neither do I. But what does that mean to me? Well, that means to me out in the real world, whether it's me, my wife, my kids, my friends, my dad, they may find themselves in a situation with a savage beast in a locked space or area. And it's unfortunate that that's the world we live in, but at the same time, not to sit here and try to fear people into it, but that's the world we live in. So, if you're watching this saying, well, I don't have the desire for that, well, neither do I. I don't have the desire to, be facing a bad situation, but the reality is that sometimes life puts you in that situation. So, just from the mere self-defense aspect of this, even if you don't want to compete, I think is a reason to look at martial arts as a whole.
Yeah, well, I mean, like you said, Jiu-Jitsu is not like, and I want to make sure you understand, like, Jiu-Jitsu is not like a sport where you go throw two guys in a cage. That's MMA. That's mixed martial arts. That's regulated. It's gone through the states. There's rules. Those guys, they have to have a license to fight. They're trained professionals, right? And those guys put themselves in the cage because they want to do this. It's not like they took a rooster and they threw him out in a cage to fight each other, right? So that's one aspect of martial arts is MMA. It's a sport now. Jiu-Jitsu is one craft. It's a martial art. In our program where I teach, we look at it more than self-defense. We're looking at a educational way of learning a lifestyle. Yet, like you said, self-defense. Why do most people get attacked? Because of awareness. Sure. Right? Second, because you become an easy target. What am I getting to is you gain so much confidence to the point where you don't even have to use self-defense because you transfer that energy. Right? So you're a lot more aware of your danger,
Sure.
So that's one benefit about just the aspect of you're getting danger off of you by simply showing a different nature of yourself. Confidence, the skill set that you learn, the lifestyle, the changes that you go through. So it's way beyond that. I've seen I deal with kids who have autism, kids who parents go through a divorce, kids whose dad is not there or mom's not there. You got so many different stories, right? And sure. I get to learn that person. And so what happens is we attach that to evolving or shaping up a human being, and that happens to a lot of adults. Why do most people go find fitness and martial arts? Because they're lacking something in their life.
Well, and I think that's a real relatable, analogy that you have there. Is a lot of times, we turn to a fitness or a martial arts at a time when we need something more in our lives, mm-hmm. and you get that out of it, and that's where we can relate. Is that that same feeling you get after a fantastic workout is the same feeling you get after a fantastic training session or sparring session or even drills. That's something relatable to a certain degree. And then also to kind of touch on the MMA side is that a lot of times I think it's jiu-jitsu is assumed that it's in a cage, and mm-hmm. that's not really traditional jiu-jitsu. No. And I think us fitness guys can relate to this. Is that think about MMA as like CrossFit. And CrossFit is a combination of all these different disciplines. You have powerlifting, you have Olympic lifting, you have endurance sports, you have gymnastics. There's different types of disciplines that are all tied into CrossFit that make CrossFit as a whole. Well, MMA is the same in a sense that it takes a discipline like Jiu-Jitsu, Muay Thai for striking, even wrestling, mm-hmm. Boxing. There's many different disciplines that they combine and they put it together into the MMA. So an MMA is equal to like a CrossFit, I would say.
Well, how it happened is you have different crafts. You have specialists, a boxer, you had a Jiu-Jitsu guy. So you threw different arts out there to see which one was the best one, right?
Yep.
So Jiu-Jitsu sort of dominated that aspect. So what happened, people realized you can't be one-dimensional, yep. right? Because even Jiu-Jitsu can lose, right?
Absolutely.
You can get hit if you're not used to. So people became more well-rounded, right? Then you had the next generation, like Tito Ortiz. Those guys are more, or wrestling based, but they learn striking, or strikers who learn wrestling, or jiu-jitsu, all that aspect. So and then you got the GSP. Like the guys are hybrids, you know what I mean? Those guys can do it all. He's a karate black belt. He's a world-class jiu-jitsu grappler, and a striker, and world-class athlete, you know? So, and then now you're getting to the point where you got like the naturals, right? You got the 5-year-old kid who does wrestling, jiu-jitsu, and striking. 10-year-old kid who at 15 years old, this kid is a blue belt. Like we got a kid in our gym, Anthony Martinez, who's 16 years old, and I mean, this guy literally beats up adults, and and he's one of the nicest.
I can
kids.
attest to that.
And he's 130
He does.
pound.
Me included.
Yeah, and you got females that are petite girls and are dominating 180-pound dudes that show up, and we're talking about dudes who are in shape. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
so yeah, like that is fascinating, and grappling and then educating what jiu-jitsu is. Jiu-jitsu is a form of grappling, right? Because you can add judo. What is judo? Is a traditional martial art where jiu-jitsu comes from, where you throw the guy to the ground. You can do arm locks, you can do chokeholds, you can do pins, and then you can add wrestling. What is wrestling? There's different forms of wrestling. You got freestyle wrestling, you got other forms of wrestling, right? And then you can add that into your jiu-jitsu, right? And so and then obviously you got the pure jiu-jitsu, the guard, the arm locks, the chokeholds, and then you got gi, no gi. So there's just a ton of stuff that I look at it as you can put it into jiu-jitsu. So for me, that's like the mother of grappling.
Some of the opportunities that you can do by having mats in the garage is you can drill with a partner. We've been able to work out everything from takedowns to doing different moves from the closed guard, and also have the opportunity to drill with dummies if you're by yourself.
So you have interlock mats like this. You also have a roll-up mats.
Okay.
And then you have sort of like the zebra mats. They're not interlock, but they puzzle together.
Like the panels.
Panels. And then you can obviously put something around it to keep it in place.
Some sort of
So
board.
some regular standards mats that I think you can get. Obviously, you got to be aware of the surface of the impact. We are sort of more trained individuals, so we can take the impact a little bit easier with the sweeps or the takedowns. A lot of people are still not very aware or know exactly how to fall. You don't want to fall posting your arm to fall, hurt your shoulders. I've had injuries like that training on mats that weren't even.
So you basically we have the interlock tiles here on top of stall mats, which all garage gymmers know exactly what stall mats are. So we do have some subfloor of stall mats here. Now, when we come around and we kind of look at the different types of equipment that are kind of relatable to us garage gymmers, like if I start with the pull-up rack, you said, so let's talk about how this pull-up rack transfers over to the jiu-jitsu practitioner.
The grip.
Grip,
The
okay.
grip, man, it's crucial. A lot of people grab the grip with their fingers right here, right? This is not going to do anything. I grab the grip here, it's not going to do anything. A lot of people try to choke with the fingers, it's not going to do anything. And even from the back, here is very common, right? So the way I like to use it is think about a proper strong grip. If you grab with your hands like this is only going to last for so long, right? So the adjusting of the grip and being able to hang and doing pull-ups and using all those aspects, the mechanics, and then involving the rest of your lower body, right? Because a lot of times I connect my upper body with my legs, or my legs with my upper body, like if I'm doing a triangle and I have to pull the person in. So that's how I like to use this a lot to kind of build up in that aspect of life.
So to you fitness guys, or you trainers out there, and us garage gymmers, essentially he's doing pull-ups with like a false grip. False grip, putting in a different type of position where he's up there, which would be more of a type of grip of grabbing a gi. Yeah. And then also if he's doing a pull-up, thinking about doing a pull-up and possibly doing like a knee to elbow in the process, which would also be as if you're pulling in somebody as well.
Oh, you can create a triangle choke with your legs. Yeah. So keep the triangle choke the whole time. Lock it and then put it down. Yes. And now bring it up and bring your knees up to your chest. Yeah. And how does that relate to? It's very simple. Let me give you an example. I love the triangle choke, right? But like if I get here, boom, person starts posturing up. So I have to pull the knees to me. And then I have to stand to be able to maybe sweep. And now get on the top position or as a choke. That's just one simple example how I'm using the workouts.
So transfer specifically to the craft. We have pull-up bars. That's one of the main things that we talk about that you need in a garage gym. Now, we have some weights, offset weight on the mat. I also think, the grip is very important as well, and kettlebells give us a great opportunity to work on grip.
There's an exercise that we work here. You like to use the kettlebell to create a good base here. And I'm basically transferring the weight into this kettlebell here, so I can now lift up. I can do push-ups. I like this a lot, where I can do a basic press. The reason why is because your grip gives in like this a lot in Jiu-Jitsu. So I'm using the contrast of the weight to keep this stiff, to bring it up here.
Changing the center of mass.
Yes. I can start sitting up. I can do Russian twists. I can do so many things with this kettlebell, but primarily working around the function of strength and the grip.
So kettlebells are something basic we all have, and then in the jiu-jitsu world, you showed us how the transfer of energy and the pull-up works. So show us on the kettlebell. You were doing push-pull, for example. So how would that transfer?
This is very common right here. My partner could throw a submission because he broke my posture. My partner can start sweeping me because I lost my base. So I have to create a good, strong base, yet be able to control the strongest part of his body, which is his legs, right? As he's trying to pull my arms. So we talked about the kettlebells earlier. I can step in here and sit into this position, sorry, and I can think about the kettlebell control that I had earlier. Boom, you see? So now when Lee wants to push me away, he's sort of trapped. And I can start slowly closing the distance, put in more weight. I can then think about passing the bar, the kettlebell right here that I had. I can think about lifting the elbow, stepping in for an arm bar. So that's just a basic example of how I like to use that function of the kettlebell exercise.
So training specific will help transfer to the mat, and I think that is, we're at a really cool point in the world where the worlds are combining of the world of fitness and the world of martial arts. And that's one thing that's exciting for me, kind of being in both worlds now. And I think that's something you guys are going to start to see more out there, and you're going to start to inquire more about it. And what's cool about the more of us that do it, the more opportunity you have to train with, the more resources we have. Just like the garage gym revolution took fire. Well, now it's a fantastic resource that we can learn from, and I think it's really cool that everybody's starting to get into jiu-jitsu as well, because it becomes this big resource that we all learn from, and the more that do it, the better they get. The better they get, we all learn more.
Exactly, and don't isolate yourself. It's one thing to do the extra effort, but you still need your teammate. You still need guidance, instructors. I have my own instructor, even though I'm a black belt. He has his own mentors, even though he's a 7th degree black belt. So stay within the culture. That's how you keep expanding. That's how I found about you. That's how you found about jiu-jitsu.
Absolutely. And I think, a lot of us are on the fence. Go try it. Look around. Look, there's so many resources out there. Check it out. Go in there. Most of them will give you a free lesson or a free, something to just try. You don't have to buy a bunch of stuff. They'll loan you a gi if you want to try the gi or whatever the case may be. But go out there and try it. And you'll learn one of two things. It's not for you and you don't want to do it. Great. You've crossed that off and you know about it. Or you absolutely love it and it's one of the coolest things you've ever done. And all you want is more of it. Either way, you're going to know. Guys, it has been a fantastic episode. Thank you, Professor Jose. I appreciate the lessons. I appreciate you inviting us to be able to come in and show everybody your garage. It's 2020, and just to put it out there, we have some big announcements that will be pivoting off this episode. So we're just going to give you all a little teaser, and that's it. Stay tuned. Thank you guys very much.
Ooh.